Hillary Clinton's campaign may have some new questions to answer regarding her email scandal. WikiLeaks released more of her campaign hacked emails, including what appears to be transcripts of 3 paid speeches to Goldman Sachs. Now, it's important to note here, CNN has not independently verified the authenticity of these emails. But let's bring back Kasim Reed, mayor of Atlanta and Hillary Clinton supporter, and Betsy McCoy, former lieutenant governor and New York and Donald Trump supporter. Thank you both for sticking around for us. We appreciate it.
Happy to be with you, Christy.
Thank you. I want to get right into what we're hearing from WikiLeaks this morning. One particular part of a speech from October 2013 that reads, there was also a need to do something because for political reasons, if you were an elected member of Congress and people in your constituency were losing jobs and shutting businesses and everybody in the press is saying it's all the fault of Wall Street, you can't sit idly by and do nothing. So is the implication here that something has to be done not because Wall Street's doing anything wrong, but for political gain? Mayor Reed?
My sense is that it's not appropriate to really be commenting on these items because we don't know if they've been manufactured by the Russians. What I think is Americans are more troubled by the fact that the Russian government is trying to help put Donald Trump in office. And because we haven't seen his tax returns, we have no idea what his financial relationships are with Russia, with China. What we do know is that the FBI has said that it is highly likely that Russians have been involved in this hack. So we really don't know what documents are false or what documents are true. And I think more disturbing is the fact that the Russian government is trying to assist Donald Trump to become president of the United States so that he can break long-standing global agreements with countries that make up the NATO alliance, the most important alliance that emerged after World War II. The biggest break we have seen with Donald Trump and his running mate was over Russia. I think everybody remembers the debate when the commentator was reflecting on Mike Pence's comments about being aggressive and engaging Russia in an aggressive fashion. Well, and Donald Trump said we hadn't talked to him at all, and if so, he disagreed with him. And
you're right about that.
I think that's disturbing.
We have had these conversations many times about the authenticity of these. You just heard us say we can't verify it. The Clinton campaign is saying that they cannot verify it either. But there's no doubt about it that this speaks directly to the Bernie Sanders supporters that she's trying to court right now. So the question is this going to be a big problem for her?
I'd like to address that.
You know what, Christy? I think
I'd like to
address that. She's getting ready to let you
Mayor
speak.
Reed
I
finish,
think you're
and then
asking
we'll
me the question,
come to
Christy.
you,
I think
Lieutenant
that
Governor.
the fact of the matter is what's going to be impactful for Bernie Sanders supporters is what Senator Sanders says. And Senator Sanders is standing shoulder to shoulder with Secretary Clinton and has said in no uncertain term that this election is too important to America and to the world to allow Donald Trump to become president of the United States. And I think that the most compelling argument is going to be when Senator Sanders and Secretary Clinton are campaigning all over America together.
All right, Lieutenant Governor, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to address that. Well, although that particular passage suggests, as many others do, that Mrs. Clinton says one thing in private and another thing in public, the far more damning portions of these speeches are where she commits herself to open borders and unlimited immigration. And the reason that that is so damning is that if you look at just the last year, jobs held by foreign workers increased 5% in this country, whereas jobs held by American-born workers increased only 1%. Newcomers to this country, immigrants, legal and illegal, are displacing American workers, and that is going to be very important in battleground states like Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina, where people in service jobs and lower-paying jobs are losing those jobs to newcomers to this country, and in some cases are being forced to train the people who are taking over their jobs.
Okay, I want to get to one more thing that's in the Times, actually, this morning, the New York Times. There is so much to talk about, as you have already talked about this morning, regarding Donald Trump and the women conversation, the women that are coming out accusing him of sexual assault, the things that he has been caught saying on tape and speeches, frankly. But the Times has this to say about Hillary Clinton and how she can, or cannot rather, combat that. Though Hillary Clinton, it says, has stood at the center of feminist debates for more than 2 decades, she has at times been an imperfect messenger for the cause. That has never been more apparent than now, as her old missteps and her husband's history have effectively paralyzed her during a moment of widespread outrage. In other words, Mayor, it sounds as though they're saying because of her past, it's very difficult for her to make a case against Donald Trump right now when it comes to the treatment of women. You say what?
Christy, I say that that's not what the numbers show. What the numbers in your polling data show is that women are coming to the side of Hillary Clinton. And what I'm absolutely stunned by is to hear a Trump supporter talking about what someone said in private versus public. If we're talking about when someone says in private, the comments that Donald Trump made were absolutely deplorable. And as opposed to going out and simply apologizing and moving on, he has gone out and attacked the women who have come forward. You have an individual who's running for president that's causing people in the United States to change the name of Tic Tacs to Don Trump. So I'm so surprised that we're talking about private comments, because if we're talking about private comments, I don't think that's a healthy conversation for Don Trump to have.
Lieutenant Governor?
Yes, I'd like to respond. As many of these allegations has come forward, there is just as much evidence proving that they're all politically motivated. Let me give you an example. Just please don't interrupt me, Mr. Mayor. When Gloria Allred, a Clinton delegate and professional man-shamer, trotted out Ms. Anderson. I have very big sympathies for any woman who has to do this, but she trotted her out like a pony on a rope at a press conference and had her charge Donald Trump with sexual misconduct many years ago. No one in the media covered the fact that Ms. Allred is in fact a Clinton delegate, a bigwig Democrat. All of these are the same. When the New York Times published that totally unsubstantiated charge by Mrs. Leeds, the elderly woman, no fact-checking was done. Was she on a plane with Donald Trump? Did they try to get the witness? She said that the man across the aisle from her was horrified at the groping. He has since come forward and said that everything Mrs. Leeds said is untrue. Isn't it a shame that a newspaper would plaster that kind of story on the front page and twist an election, really have an enormous impact on an American election with no prior responsibility to corroborate that story?
Right,
that is really terrible. It's shameful.
Lieutenant Governor,
what's shameful is the shaming of women that have come forward
that a distinguished newspaper would do a thing like that. And that's what Donald Trump means when he says it's rigged. It's not the electoral system, it's the media that are unfair to him.
It's only rigged because Donald Trump is losing. It wasn't rigged when he was winning.
No, he is.
It wasn't rigged when he was out with
I'm sorry we've run out of time. I apologize here, but it's been good to have this conversation with both of you. Mayor